Hi, my name's Anita Ricky. I was scheduled to come to the library and teach about mindfulness and meditation. And due to recent events, we're going to do it remotely. So it's actually nice. You can do it online anytime you feel like you have the chance to get quiet. And I'm going to bring everything to you, and you have the privacy of your own home, not being in a group. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, it's a two-part class. It's called Inward Bound. The first part of the class is the difference between mindful and your mindful. So mindfulness right now is a really trendy term, and we're talking about being present and being there. And it's kind of confusing because of course we're here when we're here, but are we here when we're here? So we are going to first define it. The definition of mindfulness is to bring your attention to the experiences that are occurring right now without judgment. That's the biggest thing, without judgment. So you can be distracted. You can be here listening to this and still looking at your kids and looking at the dog, and just know that that's where you are. But mindfulness is completely being present. So the first thing we're going to do is learn how to meditate, and we're going to learn how to get quiet. So I would suggest you find a safe space wherever you are. Maybe that's someplace in your house. I chose up in my room, and I got myself a little bolster just because we'll be sitting for a long time. You can be in a chair, you can be up against the wall. I wouldn't be laying down yet. Laying down looks like resting, and meditation is work. So we're going to work on our breathing, and we're going to find a nice seat. We're going to pull ourselves up, kind of like someone's holding us up, so we can get nice and tall. Our shoulders are going to be over our hips. And we're just going to start a breathing technique that I use for a lot of people to help them get into their own minds. It's called box breathing. And box breathing is 4 parts of breath. There's an inhale, there's the top of the inhale where there's nothing, there's an exhale, and then there's a little part where there's nothing. So usually when you think of breathing, you think there's in and out, but that's just an exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. We're going to use our breathing to get inside ourselves. So we're going to count up for a count, then do nothing for a count, exhale for a count, do nothing for a count, start again. I'm going to count to 3 to start us off, but if that's too much breath or too little breath, you can adjust to yourself. So you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can keep your eyes open. You're just going to try to go in for your breath through your nose, and you're going to feel the sensation of the air go through your nostrils. So it's bizarre, and it's going to feel like a long time, especially if you've never done it, but you're in your own safe space, and you're just going to breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Do nothing. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth. 2, 3, 4. Nothing. 2, 3, 4, and you can adjust your count. We're just going to keep doing that again. So you're going to inhale, hold, exhale, hold, nothing, out, nothing. If you get lost in it, or you start feeling distracted, I'm hearing noises outside. I'm in my house, so I can hear the garbage trucks, somebody's cutting their bushes. Just go back to your breathing. You're breathing in through your nose, you're holding. You can kind of get lost in that count and just feel yourself settle into the ground. Know that your thoughts are going by, but right now you're tuning into yourself. We're just going to do that for a while. All right, so that probably felt like a really long time, because if you've never really focused on your breathing, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, that was a little weird. It gets easier. It's a practice. We learned how to be this busy and this distracted, so you can learn how to settle yourself down. I work on it every day. I've been practicing yoga and meditation for 13 years, and it's still not easy, but it's important. So if you feel like you failed that totally, go back to it anytime. I'm going to give you another breathing technique at the end of this class, so if that one just doesn't work for you, you can just drop it and try something else. But now we're going to move into the next part. Still, you can move around if you don't want to stay where you are. You don't have to stay where you are, but we're going to do a little bit of the lecture part, which is you are not your mind. This was the most groundbreaking thing I've ever heard, because in yoga, which is what I do, I teach yoga, it's that we're all connected. There's the mind, there's the body, there's the soul, and how does that all interweave to become who we are? And when I first started meditating, and I think this is where people get lost, you can't quiet the mind. It's really hard to do. I can't just sit here and know that, okay, I'm recording this right now. I'm sitting on my pillow, I'm recording this, I'm a little cold. I can't wrap, it's so huge, you can't wrap yourself around it. So you just feed into the distractions. Well, your mind is separate from you a little bit. Your mind was made to keep you alive. So there's patterns it's gone on forever, and there's a ton of psychology books on it, like you're destined to be some way, or you've been trained to be some way, but let's just take your mind as not you for a second. We have used the busyness and distractions as Americans. We celebrate our social lives, our crazy schedules, our responsibilities, and it takes an extreme amount of work to quiet your mind. So to give you an example how we weren't always like this, I want you to think of a baby. A baby who has no agenda, who has no prior experiences, will spend hours looking at its own hand. If you haven't witnessed a baby doing that, or its own feet, take advantage of whoever's baby that you have to watch them. They're completely immersed in their five. They'll look at it for hours. That's something I really work to do, just try to be in my body. And they're just learning, they're looking at it, they think it's amazing. That's how present they are. And they start to remove themselves from that as they get older, but even a toddler will watch a bug scurry across the wall or scurry across the ground for out. They won't drop their intention of looking at it. They'll follow it all the way through. Whereas they might show us, hey, look, mom, a bug. You're like, okay, and then you're on to the next thing. So we're gonna try to get back there. Now what the mind does, this is a lot of words, but it's a lot of insight. Let me see. We're going to talk about the fact that the mind is there to kind of keep you alive. There's two things inside your head that we learned about a long time ago. It's either flight or fight. So you're made to be reactive. It's trying to get you out of situations. It wants you to survive. So sometimes your mind will be full of negative things just to keep you safe. And you have to kind of let it go. You have to say, oh, that's just my mind talking. That's not me. That's just my mind saying I'm not good enough. That's just my mind being anxious. That's just my mind being nervous. It's hard, but once you let yourself say that's my inner voice, and it's not really kind, you can kind of move on. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect you, but it's not you. It's just what's talking inside you. It's that voice. I did a teen workshop 2 years ago, and I said, if you talk to yourself, if your friends talk to you like your own brain talk to yourself, would you be your own friend? And not a single one of them said yes. And I think that's true as you get older too. We're the harshest on ourselves because we want to be good. We want to succeed. We want to be better, but at what cost? So you have to come back to being like, I'm just breathing. I'm just a human being. I'm just breathing. That's just my mind talking. And you just go back to your breath. The most basics of, the most simplistic, go back to the baby. Just lay down, look at your body, feel the temperature around you, and breathe. One of the excavations for getting to the bottom of being mindful is kind of just releasing things, just letting it go. And I know people do that a lot of ways. There's runners, there's fighters, there's yoga. And journaling is one of those things that doesn't cost any money or a lot of real time, and I just think it's real accessible. And I always offer it when I do library classes because it's just there. So we're going to grab a piece of paper or a journal. I have several of them, and you're just going to take this time to really reflect on some things. And before you start scribbling, you're going to just sit back into more of a meditative state and think about these things. What are you going to try to release through words? Nobody ever has to read it. I've done practices before where I've sent the letter back to myself. You can do that if you want, or you can show it to somebody that means something to you, or you can just keep it as, I needed to get this out. So what we're gonna work on this time is decluttering the mind by thinking about, for a minute, when in your life are you fully present? When do you have the most energy? When is that? And maybe you don't know off the top of your head, so I mean, I didn't know that when I first got that prompt, so I had to think about, is it playing when I'm with my kids? Is it playing? Or is it when I'm at work? Do I really feel solidified, who I am, and I'm really engaged? But when you have to think inside yourself, when are you most you? I want you to close your eyes for a minute and then start writing. All right, now that we've gotten all that out, where we feel the most alive, where we feel the most energy, it's time to go to counter it and to really think about, and maybe this one's easier, where are you the most drained? Where do you feel the least like yourselves? Where are you in space? I mean, sometimes it's at your own house, sometimes it's at work, sometimes it's in social situations, but just get that out. We're not going to delve into why, but let's just at least get it off our chest. All right, now we're almost at the end. You've done a definition of mindfulness. You did some excavating in journals. We did our first meditation. Do this in little speeds. If you can only do 10 minutes a day or 2 minutes a day or 1 minute a day, that's fine. I used to do it just when I was waiting in the loop for my kids. Like, this is my quiet time. Turned off the radio. I had no distractions, turned off my phone and gave myself a second. But we're taking a class, so I'm gonna have you do our last rest is gonna come off your little chair, off your seat, and you're gonna do a breathing exercise where you actually lay down. So you can come all the way to your back, or you can do a leg up a chair or a leg up a wall, but somewhere where your heart and head are down. And then your hands, you can put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, or you can do these little okay fingers. Bring your thumb and your second finger together and just lay down and just try to relax. If you're on the ground, I would just put your feet all the way to the ground. And I really like when one hand is on my core and one hand is on my heart. And this breathing is, you're gonna go in for a certain amount in your nose, and then exhale through your mouth, let your jaw go for twice as much as you went in. So if I go in for 3, I go out for 6. 1, 2, 3. And just keep doing that. And this time, because we're at the end and we aren't just beginning, feel your shoulders roll back. Try to just relax. Your jaw clenches naturally. Let that go. Your forehead usually furrows. Just be breathing in. And this time, when you hear some thoughts come into your head, just know that's just my mind. If you're wondering when this is going to end, or you better start dinner, or I really don't have time to be laying on the floor, that's just your mind. That's just your mind. That's not you. Just give it a little more time. Go back to your breath, counting in, exhaling double. And this kind of breathing represents you're letting out more than you need right now. So you're just releasing. That's why we're exhaling twice as long. This is our excavation. We're letting out stuff we're holding on to. All right, I have some resources that I used for this class and that I just like to throw out there. It's on the slideshow, but a couple apps. Some of them are free, some of them cost $2. They either help you with meditation, some are specific to anxiety, some will put you right to sleep. So if you need more prompts to get you meditating, those are good resources. If looking at your phone, sometimes the brightness of the phone just messes me up completely, then just drop that. But that's there. Also, music is just a good, anything that like without words. There's some Tibetan music that's free, you can go to that. And these books I really like, especially if you're just getting into it. They're very fast, they're mantras. There's like one sentence a day to maybe set you. So Only Love Today by Rachel Macy Stafford. It's a good one for just stay today. Don't worry about yesterday. And it's a little quick one sentence thing. I read them every morning to kind of set myself. This one is new, the Hoda Kotb. She said, I really needed this today. She does one quote too, and then she has a little backstory with it, but they're quick and they're energizing. That's why I like to use them in the morning. They're not really a closing one. And the 50 Days of Grace, similar. May your heart be happy and your mind be free. Very similar stuff. This one checks back into nature a lot because nature gets it right. Nature just naturally relaxes, releases, opens up, lets go. And this is an excellent resource too. Next time we are meeting together, we will be doing a whole bunch more excavation and a whole bunch of letting it go. It's a Frozen theme. So I can't wait to see you then.